Ooh, 500. Juicy. Hang on, this is the lab. Inside, I found another tape, and Rusty, a very rude robot that Wendell had programmed to fight off intruders. It was intended to deter the local spider population, but it didn't like me either. I found my first brittle quartzite shards in here, a very useful item used to upgrade weapons. And I found a delicious meal of might loaf, too. A little further in, and through this door, was an absolutely glorious view of the backyard. Roll science. Look at the view. Beautiful. The notes I found lying around seemed to indicate that Dr. Tully believed Ominent was interfering with his research. Ominent's like the source of some radio signals? What the hell is Ominent? I pulled this switch here, and so the surveyor scanner was turned on. And the Ominent logo was literally on this doodad. A mysterious organization indeed. Now I can use surveyors to look for...
No, he definitely was the first.
Evidently that wasn't the hedge lab then. So I continued my journey through the hedge. Would it be a bad idea to attack a website?
I don't know who should get it.
I don't care. Unsurprisingly, spiderlings burst forth from the web stack. And though they weren't difficult overall, they did take quite a few hits to kill. So if the spiderlings were that tough, I was a little worried what would happen if their mum showed up. It was nice to collect some web fiber though. I soon arrived at another building of Wendell's, in which I found raw science, a scabby flavor scheme, and brittle marble shards, which can be used to upgrade armor. There was also a bed here, and since it was now almost 10 PM, I slept through the night. So now I had found two buildings that at first I thought were the lab, but neither of them actually were, so I had to crack on further into the hedge. I soon found the fling can, the big old frisbee of spidery death, where I engaged in glorious combat with an army of spiderlings. But then a scary warning appeared on the left of the screen. Uh-oh. All weave spiders are aware of my presence? I don't like the sound of that. Oh dear. I nearly fell off. Fortunately, those angry orb weavers never materialized, but I think I spotted the terrifying lair where they probably lurk. Do I boldly go get the raw science at least? Am I that bold? Only 100. I had to go near to the entrance to a disgusting lair, and you only give me 100? I ziplined yet again. Clearly Wendell had a fairly extensive network of these, and while I had made significant progress, the map indicated I still had quite a distance to go. I looted this little outpost, including claiming a strange beverage. Hedgelord? And apparently I'd landed a few parries by this point, because I earned the Parry Master mutation. Extreme advantage when blocking attacks. I popped that on instead of Javelineer. As I listened to a tape from Wendell discussing how he'd gotten the idea to use ziplines to get around easier, I spied what had to be the hedge lab. Definitely some spiderlings in there. Let's hope nothing bigger than a spiderling. It's probably not my most optimistic hope. According to the lore of Wendell, this breach was caused by that frisbee I'd seen earlier. I slapped the door system override console, but it appeared I needed to find the password too. Password is... well, that's not helpful. That's a big notepad, though. As I continued, a significant spider infestation was evident, but I was relieved to find an Orb Weaver Junior. No seniors to be seen. My initial approach was to attempt perfect blocks, but when I missed the second one and got poisoned, I was nearly dead. After that, I kept my block up full time. No more fancy parries. But one downside of using a shield is that it puts you in defensive stance. Yes, it improves your blocks, but it also... it's a pity. Dew Collector. Dew Collector. Now that I had the tier 2 axe, I was able to chop down these husky weeds, which made stem collection a lot easier. Now I can get weed stems from right next to my base. Amazingly useful. I was able to chop down a mushroom too, which earned me some mushroom chunks. I placed down a dew collector to collect water for me, a hugely convenient addition to the base, and I kept the machines chugging, crafting up a storm. I should also mention, the way I kept up on food production at this point was by hunting and cooking aphids. Lily pad wax. I was constantly scanning my craftables, identifying what materials I needed to find, and then trying to find them. Lily pad wax was a mercifully easy one, because the giant lily pads right next to my juice box base had plenty on offer. And so I was able to craft a pedlet dagger, which can be used to harvest and fight underwater. Is it dangerous down here? Surely it is. I was trying to work out what I could harvest, and I soon found some eelgrass that suffered the wrath of my little dagger. Can't collect this. I think it's just eelgrass. Oh, this is, these are marble shards. These are useful. What was that noise? What is that noise? Oh no. Oh no. Get away from me. What are you in the water for? Why am I drowning? Go. Okay, I didn't drown, but I'm getting chased.
Cuando pienso en el futuro, me imagino un futuro sin límites.
Block. I thought I heard something. I was like, what is that? Oh, come on. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Ah. Oh gosh, this isn't great either. Did it come out of the water? I tried to sneakily claim the molar, but I think the orb weaver spotted me. Run! Oh! Oh! Screw you, orb weaver. Screw you, orb weaver. Screw you, orb
We're
weaver.
gonna keep Kylie picks, but doesn't look.
Oh, big parry. Oh, didn't get that one. I switched to my axe, and orb weavers are vulnerable to chopping, so this was good choice. But the big spider seems to sometimes do a single attack, and at other times do a fast flurry of attacks. And I had trouble distinguishing between the two, so I got some perfect blocks, but not many. Drink this. Oh, nice heals. Where are you going? How dare you? I wasn't finished with you. I'm gonna regret that. Big parry. Just trust in the parry, baby. Okay, I'm finally getting half a clue. No fangs, though? I wanted spider fangs to get the tier 2 bow, so I was sad not to get any of those, but I defeated an orb weaver. A good effort. I realized I'd been using mutations that aren't very helpful for combat, so I made a second mutation loadout with extra health and block, and I tried to remember to switch between different loadouts for different situations. I killed another ladybug, and I guess I was feeling good after the victory over the orb weaver, because I decided to take on the wolf spider. It had a similar moveset,
Oh, I'll keep the
except it
officer
was
alive.
faster, and it applied poison pretty much immediately, even if you blocked its attacks. Only perfect blocks would keep out the poison, and I certainly did not pull off a 100% perfect block record. This fight did not go particularly well for me. I next took on an orb weaver. Oh, there's a baby too. Oh yeah, got the big stun off. The baby joined in, but this went surprisingly well, as I seemed to have the hang of the block timings. And I think more importantly, I had the tier 2 axe at my disposal now, and the increased damage from that made me feel much more confident. A wolf spider is on a different level to an orb weaver. That is a true fact. I figured an armor upgrade would have a huge impact, and it seemed the ladybug set would be simplest to get. I just needed more berry leather. After watching this epic battle, which the ladybug absolutely dominated, I killed the ladybug because I couldn't have her getting too cocky after her victory. Problem is, my armor is just breaking, man. I chopped a weed. Oh, this one made so many. They don't usually make them. What the hell? And I finally realized. Yeah. Oh, I thought I had to get a special item to repair. All right, let's just repair all this stuff.
These players are on the
Oh, that was
last year of
expensive.
their
Yes, you can repair items without a special tool. It just costs some materials. Also, maybe I should not have climbed into this milk carton. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. I didn't want to fall down here. Oh, there's two? Great. I managed to escape the fearsome duo, and then got revenge on them by shooting at them from atop a big rock. It was good to claim some valuable materials from their squishy corpses. And then I got assaulted by mosquitoes. I initially fought this one with a bow, before keeping it to discover mosquitoes are vulnerable to chopping. So I switched to my axe, and I worked out that these guys like to stab you with their big nose. Surprise, surprise. But when I got a perfect block, this one fell to the ground, giving me a chance to pretty much finish it off. But then another attack. And somewhere in there, I should have used a bandage to get some health back, but I guess I was a bit frantic. I took out the second, but then two more showed up, and it was game over. They swarmed. I returned and got my vengeance. I knew I was going to need lots of ladybug parts to make and then repair the ladybug armor I wanted to wear, so I now killed these beautiful ladies on sight. And I figured an abundance of mozzie materials also would not hurt. So good night to yet another mosquito. Big old bird. Crowtail feather. Oh, I can chop this. Yes, indeed. My tier 2 axe was able to help me claim some crow feather pieces. Now that I was officially a destroyer of orb weavers, I destroyed some orb weavers. Nice. Yeah, they definitely don't drop fangs, though. As you can see, I was back under the hedge, cleaning up some goodies with my newfound confidence, including taking out the nerds protecting the molar I'd spotted last time I was here. Delicious milk molar. I ventured back into the lab, too, and claimed this cheeky mega milk molar upon the branch. I hadn't explored the ground below the hedge yet, so I decided to have a look-see. And I got in over my head when some juniors interrupted my fight with their mum. Very rude. I was able to respawn at a nearby field station, though, and I got back to it. And I should mention the main goal of this mission was to collect berry chunks. Everything else was just me getting distracted. Before returning to pick up my dropped loot, I got distracted, just over here. And how about that? There is a milk molar up there on that power plug. I tried climbing a cord up to it, but there was a thingo in the way. Also, Mama said fight the power, rap mix. Also, why must lava be so flamin' ugly? I don't like it. How do I get up there? What is that? Is that a hot dog? A moldy hot dog here. I chopped up the hot dog and claimed its bits, most of which were spoiled, but there was the odd fresh bite. Not too bad. I knew I needed all of the molars for 100%, so I left a marker next to this one and vowed to return. I had a good session collecting many berry chunks. I unlocked the chopper mutation, which improves axe attacks. I collected my fallen loot, and I fought this thing. I got excited about the debuff my new mutation was applying, and
What follows will change your perception of match 3 games. You've probably never played such a strange match 3 game. Nice job.
Forgot to watch my health. Oh, it does. It's
I got false cameras.
I'm an armadillo. Glorious. Oh, what? And I
And I
accidentally
activated some
respawned at
bullies.
base. It actually doesn't take crazy long to get places if you just leg it with run speed buffs active, so it's all good. Also, I got revenge on this guy while he was stuck on a leaf. I found another molar in the other corner of the hedge area, and with that, I was pretty sure I'd found everything there was to find down here. But then I realized I needed to lift a burgle banner atop the bird bath over there, so I conspired to get on top of it. I traversed the hedge to eventually find this spot, where I crossed over to find a zipline anchor, but with no zipline attached. I had to make the connection myself. However, it was going to cost me 3 silk rope, and I had no rope on me, so sadly my adventure stopped short here. I fought a firefly on the way home, and it dropped a most glorious trinket. Some giddy goop. Final hit in your 3D combo releases spray of smelling goop. And when I got home, I got wolf spotted again. I realized I randomly had some more achievements, and I was pretty sure I hadn't found 10 color schemes yet, so I was confused. But no matter, because I had a great volume of berry leather to make. With them, I was able to make all 3 pieces of the ladybug set. But then Steam started giving me more achievements, willy-nilly. Bro, my game's gotta be bugging out. Okay, I've got a matching set of tier 2 armor, that's accurate. I haven't zipped across a team-made zip line longer than 100 centimeters. I haven't been infused with 20 regular milk molars. I haven't achieved level 10 brain power. Wait, why is this bugging out? I'm level 7 brain power. It gave me the achievement to achieve level 10 brain power. Why? Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but most of those achievements I would have unlocked naturally when just playing through the game. Though I haven't played across coast in a space game, because that sounds lovely. I used 3 milk molars to increase the amount of mutation.
View a player's motivations and overall interest level in your team here. You have 3 evaluation periods with each stage.
Tired of being in the denied club where building credit feels out of reach? Meet Wendy, a literal supermom. But her credit? That's another story.
On June 19, 1944, 2 of Japan's most powerful aircraft carriers were attacked and sunk by lone American submarines. Nearly a quarter of remaining Japanese carrier strength was destroyed in the space of a few hours, making it the most successful day in the history of the US Navy submarine force by tonnage sunk. This is the story of 2 submarine captains that never gave up, and a Japanese carrier fleet that never recovered. By the middle of 1944, the war in the Pacific was steadily swinging towards the United States and its allies. Early Japanese success had given way to relentless Allied counterattack, and in June the Pacific Fleet moved against the Mariana Islands of Saipan and Guam. Ahead of the landing of ground troops, Task Force 58 was sent forward with its 15 aircraft carriers to conduct bombing raids on the islands. This was the moment that the commander of the Japanese First Mobile Fleet, Admiral Ozawa, had been waiting for. For years, the Japanese had carefully conserved its aircraft carriers, hoping to draw the US into a single decisive battle that would turn the tide of a war that seemed to be slipping away. The time for this battle had now arrived, with the US extending the core of its strength into Japanese-held territory. The first mobile fleet set sail from Tawi-Tawi off Borneo on June 13th and began the voyage to confront the Americans. At the tip of the Japanese spear was
View a player's
Ozawa's Force
motivation.
A,
You have 3
comprised of the
evaluation
veteran
periods with
carriers
each stage.
Shokaku and Zukaku, as well as Taiho, the Imperial Japanese Navy's newest and most capable aircraft carrier. Commissioned in March 1944, Taiho had the biggest flight deck of any Japanese carrier up to that point and was the first Japanese carrier to feature an armoured flight deck, designed to withstand direct hits by 1,000-pound bombs. She had joined the fleet in May and immediately became Ozawa's flagship for this operation. The Americans were conscious that the Japanese fleet might come out to challenge their attack on the Marianas, and so in preparation, large parts of the Pacific Fleet submarine force, 42 boats in all, had been deployed in the region. When the Japanese sortied on June 13th, within hours the USS Redfin had spotted and reported them, and 2 days later a second force, including the battleship Yamato, was sighted to the east by Seahorse. When Ozawa's main force transited the San Bernardino Strait and was sighted by the USS Flying Fish, it was clear that the Japanese were throwing everything they had into the fight. Over the next couple of days, Ozawa's fleet made steady progress east, with the admiral trying to arrange air support from Guam and Saipan to aid him when battle was joined with the Americans. But lying between the two fleets was a line of half a dozen submarines. The first to come into contact with the Japanese was the USS Kavala, which was on its way to relieve the Flying Fish from its patrol position near the Philippines. Kavala was the first command of its rookie skipper, Lieutenant Commander Herman Kostler. At 11:03 p.m. on June 16th, it picked up 4 enemy ships on radar approaching from the southwest. It was a group of 4 Japanese tankers, which would soon be rendezvousing with Ozawa's fleet to refuel it. Kostler quickly ordered his boat to dive to make an attack, but was foiled by an alert escorting destroyer and forced to go deep. By the time Kavala could resurface early on the morning of June 17th, the Japanese ships had vanished. Frustrated, Kostler reported what had happened and set off in pursuit, spending the next 13 hours hunting for any signs of enemy vessels. Finally, that evening, Kavala met with success, with radar picking up at least 8 Japanese vessels coming up from the west. Mindful that an attempted attack last time had seriously delayed him reporting the location of the hostile fleet, Kostler chose this time to submerge and wait for the enemy to pass by before popping up to transmit their location to Vice Admiral Charles Lockwood. Lockwood was frustrated by this decision and told Kostler that he would have preferred the rookie submarine skipper to always press an attack before worrying about passing intel up the chain. Every chance to attack the enemy had to be seized. Lieutenant Commander Kostler had now seen 2 Japanese groups slip through his fingers, and he must have felt some pressure to make his next opportunity count. Meanwhile, Admiral Ozawa's fleet continued to close on the Americans. On June 18th, both sides launched air reconnaissance, but only the Japanese made contact with their opponents, while the Americans grappled with an uncertain intelligence picture. The Japanese admiral decided that the time had come. The following day would see a full-out attack. 430 aircraft launched in 4 waves, which, with hoped for support from land-based aircraft, would aim to cripple the American fleet. As the largest battle between aircraft carriers in history loomed, Vice Admiral Lockwood moved 4 more submarines into what was believed to be the Japanese fleet's path. One of these, Commander Jim Blanchard's USS Albacore, raised its periscope on the morning of June 19th to find itself just to the southeast of Force A.
With HuntStain's new 3D mapping, we have taken digital scouting to an entirely different level. When you see this 3D map,
Blanchard swung his boat around and began to close on the Japanese fleet, settling on the Taiho as his prime target. The range steadily came down. By 8:01, Albacore was penetrating the escort screen, and Blanchard turned his boat briefly to allow a Japanese destroyer to pass ahead, oblivious of the presence of the American submarine. Turning back to close on the carriers, Blanchard brought the range down to under 2,000 yards and prepared to fire. Just as he did so, Albacore's torpedo computer malfunctioned, forcing the captain to use the backup aiming device, commonly known as the Mark I eyeball. At 8:09 a.m., Blanchard loosed all 6 bow torpedoes from a range of 1,600 yards. Albacore was almost immediately jumped by 3 Japanese destroyers and forced down with depth charges, but it was too late. As the torpedoes streaked towards their target, they were spotted by Warrant Officer Sekiyo Komatsu, who had just gotten airborne in his dive bomber. Without hesitation, Komatsu swung his aircraft around and put it into a steep dive. He ploughed into one of the torpedoes, detonating it prematurely. It was a stunning act of self-sacrifice, but despite Komatsu's best efforts and the malfunction of Albacore's torpedo computer, 1 torpedo remained stubbornly on target. 8:10 a.m., it slammed into the starboard side of Taiho. The carrier shook from the explosion, which opened a hole in the ship's side just below the waterline at the base of the forward elevator. This ruptured fuel tanks located just below, allowing a mix of seawater, gasoline, and fuel oil to pour into the elevator well. To make matters worse, the shock wave of the explosion broke one of the pulleys holding the elevator itself up, and it collapsed on one side, jamming in place and rendering the flight deck inoperable. It was a frustrating setback for Admiral Ozawa, who could well do without one of his best carriers being out of action for hours while repairs were made. Though Taiho had launched all of her strike aircraft, there were still some fighters on board to provide combat air patrol against any American attacks, and Ozawa wanted the carrier functional as quickly as possible. To speed up Taiho's return to flight operations, the ship's captain, Tomozo Kikuchi, ordered the forward elevator be patched over with whatever wood could be found. The concern of the admiral and captain here was solely for getting Taiho back in the fight. The idea that this one torpedo hit should endanger the ship's survival would have been bizarre. It had missed all of the ship's engine rooms and other important machinery, and the amount of flooding in the elevator well was minor for a ship of this size. Taiho's speed was reduced slightly, but it was otherwise seemingly unaffected. By 9:20 a.m., damage control parties had managed to patch over the elevator well, cannibalizing tables, benches, and anything else wooden they could get their hands on. It was here that the problems for Taiho multiplied. With the elevator sealed off, gasoline fumes coming off the fuel-water mix were contained within the ship and gradually began to build up. Meanwhile, less than 3 hours after the attack on Taiho, a second American submarine spotted Ozawa's carrier force. It was the USS Kavala, which had kept up a dogged pursuit of the Japanese fleet since Lieutenant Commander Kostler had let it slip by the previous day. Kostler now took his boat in from the south, determined to press home and attack. Just like Albacore before, Kavala managed to sneak through the thin Japanese escort and at 11:18 a.m. fired 6 torpedoes towards the closest carrier, Shikaku. It was a perfect setup, close range and with a functional torpedo confuser. 4 of these 6 torpedoes crashed into the starboard side of Shikaku while it was in the middle of refueling and rearming aircraft for another attack. In quick succession, the carrier's forward aviation fuel tanks were hit, followed by engine rooms, the forward magazine, and the bow section, which was completely cut through. The sea rushed in, and Shikaku began to rapidly keel over. Fires raged from the aviation fuel tanks and threatened to detonate the magazine. At 12:10 p.m., there was an explosion as ordnance began to cook off, and the carrier's speed quickly dropped. It soon became clear that the damage was unsurvivable.
Uy, hermano, mi visión del futuro. El futuro es nuestro.
Shortly after 3 p.m., Shikaku rolled over and sank, the loss of 1,272 out of 1,840 sailors. It was the end for one of Japan's most distinguished carriers, which had fought in major battles going all the way back to Pearl Harbor. It was a devastating blow for Admiral Ozawa, and the Admiral's day was about to get even worse, without the Americans even doing anything more. The problem was the Taiho, whose damage control teams now found themselves fighting a losing battle against gasoline fumes. Repair parties had donned gas masks and moved into the elevator well to try and repair cracks in the fuel tanks, but this had been unsuccessful, and before long the gas masks were overwhelmed and sailors began to pass out of inhaling the toxic fumes. Before long, the whole of the lower hangar deck was thick with it and had to be abandoned. With the situation getting worse by the minute, Captain Kikuchi decided to take drastic action to try and clear the fumes from the hangar decks. He ordered the ship's ventilation system turned on, all doors and hatches opened, and the aft elevator lowered, to try and get a draft moving through the ship to dispel the fumes. But not only did this not work, it had the effect of spreading the toxic air throughout the whole ship. Kikuchi soon had to issue orders forbidding the lighting of any fires on board, and the repair crews switched to wearing rubber shoes to lessen the chance of a rogue spark. But at 12 p.m., with the ship reeking of gasoline, Taiho began to recover aircraft that had flown off earlier that morning. This required the aft elevator to be raised for most of the time to form part of the flight deck, effectively sealing the ship up for long periods and intensifying the problem. Taiho was now a floating 30,000-ton bomb. At 2:32 p.m., the inevitable happened. There was a huge explosion on one of the hangar decks as a spark somewhere ignited the thick fuel vapors. Taiho's armored flight deck, designed to protect it from explosions above, now deflected much of the blast back into the ship, magnifying its intensity and causing carnage. Enormous fires broke out, and the carrier's engines soon stopped working. Taiho quickly drew to a halt, listing and burning. It was obvious that any attempt to save the ship were futile, and abandoned ship was ordered. Admiral Ozawa and Captain Kikuchi were initially determined to go down with the ship, as was often the case with senior Japanese officers, but both in the end were persuaded to move to the cruiser Haguro, which came alongside to pick up survivors. At 4:28 p.m., Taiho capsized and sank. Of a crew of 2,038, 660 men went with her. Taiho's loss capped a miserable day for Admiral Ozawa and the Japanese. As well as the carriers, the Imperial Navy had lost hundreds of carrier aircraft, and with it any remaining hope they had of turning the tide of the Pacific War. For the Americans, the Battle of the Philippine Sea had been a triumph, for naval aviation, but also for submarines. June 19, 1944 saw the highest amount of tonnage sunk by US submarines in a single day, eclipsing even the demise of another big Japanese carrier a few months later. I hear there is a good video on YouTube about that particular sinking. Thank you for watching.
Want to extend your buying power? Get the secured self-Visa credit card. Build credit as you use it and make on-time payments.
At a little past 3 in the morning on November 29th, 1944, the American submarine USS Archerfish fired 6 torpedoes and sank the 71,000-ton Japanese supercarrier Shinano. This is the extraordinary story of how a single submarine, skippered by a then unremarkable captain, claimed the largest warship then afloat.
Yeah.
The events that led to the attack and sinking
I
of
really wanted to
Shinano
get
began
Patrick Queen.
years earlier. She was originally planned as the third ship in Japan's Yamato class of enormous battleships. But after the disastrous Battle of Midway in 1942, it was decided by the Japanese Navy to convert Shinano into an aircraft carrier while she was still under construction, to be completed in early 1945. The work to complete Shinano as what would be the largest carrier ever to put to sea were extensive. Once finished, her colossal hangar would host up to 170 planes, allowing the ship to act as a central hub for the maintenance and support of an entire fleet's aircraft. It was a hugely ambitious and powerful design, and one that the Japanese Navy got more and more desperate for as the war situation declined through 1944. In need of something to change the tide, the completion date for Shinano was rushed forward to November 1944. This greatly shortened deadline required a furious effort from the workers at Yokosuka Naval Shipyard, and it was made even more frantic when the first US B-29 bombers began to overfly the Japanese mainland on reconnaissance missions. The commerce war against Japan was entering its final, ruthlessly destructive phase, and the Japanese Navy soon became concerned that Shinano would be spotted from the air and targeted with bombing raids.
Spencer James was such a highly touted recruit that even LSU had respect for him. Playing some music for Spencer James to welcome him back to the game of football. But now UCLA had a game to win. When Spencer gets back out there in the third quarter, he's looking to make his presence felt by picking up his first down. But then there was a play where there was a bust in coverage, and Spencer falls for the ball, and he catches it. And he is going into the end zone for the first touchdown of his college career, just weeks after getting shot in the chest. And everybody's so happy for him, even the LSU crowd is cheering for him. Spencer ends up getting taken out of the game, but UCLA takes care of. That's not the only effective method, though. See, sometimes you can even get a little lucky and have some escaped servants come waltzing in, splitting the dust bandits into two smaller groups. After watching them destroy each other for an hour or so, Girth snuck back in to finish off the stragglers. I really only need one to pull this off, so I kidnapped the strongest bandit I could find and brought him back to base where I started mining iron. As long as that camp doesn't despawn, I can place.
What do Americans love more than guns and oil? That's right,
Oil.
goddamn oil. So today, the United States of America will be invading RimWorld to destroy the Empire and take control of their oil. Under the leadership of General Kibbles Jack, self-insert, the Americans built up their base, started oil production, and expanded their numbers with aggressive recruitment tactics. When recruitment was complete, we were ready to take on the Empire. However, the closest Imperial base to us will take 8.8 days of travel time. We need to cut that time down. So, what's the plan? A high-speed rail network? Yeah, no. This gas-guzzling Humvee? Absolutely. The morning of our first battle, we took part in the most sacred of American traditions, firing our guns and worshiping our corporate overlords. With our army of 10 troops ready, we sent them off to begin the war. Upon our arrival at the Imperial base, we need a reason to start a war against them. A reason that will get the people going, so they will be on our side throughout the war. The Empire has and is producing WMDs. The assault starts. Once those Imperial scum are within our range, our Humvee lays down impressive fire. Not suppressive, impressive. Like, goddamn, they're hurling an impressive amount of letdown range. The Humvee just lost most of its base speed. Oh, that's not good. What's left? Later on, passing that. Sorry.
Basically, I need like 1 million LP.
So we're gonna get her.
So that's the calculator. It divide 1 million by 20,000. That equals 50 battles. Not looks that well. But practically, it's impossible to get that much RP 20,000 every battle. And we drop. Until 19 that should be enough.
And we'll put it in. Actually,
Oh, that's a nice
did a macar.
Congratulations.
Macar.
12 seconds later.
No! We have 20 points more. We have to win this. No! No! I can't believe that happened. No. How the fuck did we lose it? 55,000! What a good guy. What a good guy. Oh my. That's really not good. Okay. Sorry, I'm so bad.
Next up, the Patriots are on the
Easy,
clock.
easy. Now look.
So,
That could be really bad.
Now on the clock, the Giants.
Buccaneers.
Nice,
The
nice.
Los Angeles Rams are up. They're on the clock.
Wait. Wait.
Man, stop running. That's over.
I could take Malik Neighbors right now.
It's the Detroit Lions.
I'm gonna take him.
On the clock.
They finna take the Jim
Next
McCarthy.
up, the Titans are on the clock.
Is Cooper G gonna fall to the second round?
Like you.
It's not only things. He gonna fall to the second
Sick
round.
of it. Not allowed.
He's gonna fall first to the second round pick. Let's see.
That's okay. And that's also true.
He's not gonna fall. He-
Yes. No.
Now the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
Please.
It's the Bears now on the clock. On the clock now, the New Orleans Saints.
Hey, yo.
The
How did I get
Cardinals
stuck
on
in
the
that?
clock now.
Hello.
And now on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings.
Caleb Williams, 22.
The Jaguars are
No,
on the
technically.
clock now.
That number.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. With the next selection, the Falcons are on
Just
the
pay more
clock.
attention, bro. No, enough. He's coming for me.
Kool-Aid.
And he died.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock.
Oh.
The
Yes!
Indianapolis
Instant
Colts
guitar
are
is the
now
best app
on
for
the
complete
clock.
beginners. This was my life before I got it. Then you
On
just
the
put your
clock
fingers here
now,
and start
it's
playing.
the
Wait,
Green
what?
Bay
Like this?
Packers.
Okay, let's take a
I think I'm doing
The
it
New
right.
England
Great job.
Patriots
Now let's
are
move on to
now
something
on the
harder.
clock.
Harder? I can't even strum yet. Great
The
job. I
Los
didn't do
Angeles
anything. Great job.
Chargers now on
You
the
see, these
clock.
online tutorials don't
Next
actually
up,
listen to you.
the
Simple guitar
Commanders
does.
are on the
Bruh.
clock.
They listen to every note you play
With
and
the
give you
next
real-time
selection,
feedback. And
the
the lessons are
Lions
super
are
easy
on
to
the
follow.
clock.
Unlike, now let's play a...
What's that? Oh.
Let's take one of these guys.
Very not nice. No.
I might take a video with me.
On the clock now,
I knew it.
it's the Tennessee Titans.
Again? Bro. Bombs. Nice tactic. Oh my god. It's coming back. It's so much. It's coming for me.
What they gonna call back?
Oh.
Oh,
So finally, after everything, now I need only 800,000 research points.
The Seattle Seahawks are now on the clock. The Tennessee Titans are now on the clock.
And again, and again.
It's the Buffalo Bills now
The
on
Buffalo
the clock.
Billions.
It's now the Indianapolis Colts
Yeah,
selection.
they got two back to back.
What was that?
We got two back to back picks. If it is. We need we need some Michael Wonaba.
What did I Okay.
Wait, how do I know what time he is?
Don't hit my boy.
70,
Stop
50.
walking. What? Just a run away.
I just Luke McCaffrey. McCaffrey.
I got no feeling, so anyway. No. Oh,
Oh, I'm doing first.
no way. How did this guy survive that long? 15 minutes.
It's the Tennessee Titans.
Alright.
Now on the
My
clock.
first normal death is.
There's a problem because I cannot turn. I cannot go up. That's the problem.
With the next selection, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What's that about thing? Look at. I might take him in a third.
180.
Next up, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock.
How? I can't do this anymore. In the final lane. Look at this. It's beautiful. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and see you in the next video.
The Chargers are up now. They're on the clock.
The fan that has so many picks, you don't get the fourth round.
Just added a new Tiger pack, and it's insane. It's one of the only packs I'd actually recommend buying. And today, I'm testing to see how well it performs by creating a German player's wet dream, a massive Tiger blitzkrieg. Mark Felton would be proud. Catches in 50. That's crazy. I do think, though, for the first time in his career, he also led the NFL in receptions. And also, for the first time in his career, he finally won Offensive Player of the Year. Still no MVP votes for him, though. Like, even Shador barely got any. And yes,
This
I know
player's
it's
development
but I
trait
still
is
want to
hidden.
see if even just
Put him
once, like I said, he can come in the top 10. Now, 40 dudes from here, we gotta check and see if the Browns actually sign him to a contract extension. They'd be so dumb not to. Let's see, a moment of truth. Dude, they still haven't re-signed him, and it's the end of the season. Oh my god.
What?
Am I stupid? He still has a year left, doesn't he? Which I'm so confused because he's played 4 years in the NFL, rookie contract's only 4 years, and that wasn't a fifth-year extension. How did they get him on an extra year worth only 1.3 mil? I'm so confused. See, like, Shador's on his fifth-year option, so I really have no idea what happened. I guess for the Browns front office, at least they get him for another year on the cheap. But again, they're going to have to find the money somehow to re-sign him and Shador at the same exact time. So this is their last offseason where they can actually allocate money to other players in the team. Just kidding, they have negative $3 million available. How did that happen? Speaking
The
of
Buffalo.
how that happened, finally, they did re-sign him to a fat 5-year, $204 million contract, while at the same time they had to give money to Jatavion Sanders, Kyron Lacy, and Martin Emerson. So free agents for you this offseason. But they're already in the negative. How are they going to be able to re-sign Shador? Was that by far makes this the most important draft
That was the guy I
class yet? They're
had.
going to need young cheap talent here, so they're not going to be able to sign a free agent for like the next 3 years. And that's not too shabby. At least they got some quality. I give
There's
it a
Walker.
B+. I'm ready for something crazy here in year 4. I want 12, 13, 14 wins. Come on now. Oh my god, dude, what is happening? Why do they suck? They're a freaking 87 rated team for crying out loud. I don't understand why the offense keeps getting worse.
I can finally stop stressing about building credit. I stumbled on this game-changing credit building app, and I'm totally hooked. I'm actually building credit from my biggest monthly expense, rent. How did I not?
And freaking worse. It's not, dude, it's not Shador's fault. It's just still really good numbers. I think it's just Tank Bigsby. Like, why does he suck so bad? I mean, on a team that only can muster up 5 wins, it's still real fine numbers. Definitely not good enough to match Puka Nakua's 2,100 yards, though. Where on planet Earth did this come from? Well, that was good for the all-time single-season record. At least the good news that he's broken the all-time Browns touchdown record. He's still working on the other 2. I have to tell you, though, boys, this is a long freaking way to breaking Jerry Rice's records. But keep in mind, he still has a long way to go. He's only 24 years old. Now, if his team is going to get better, they absolutely have got to re-sign Shador Sanders somehow. Here we go, dude. Moment of freaking truth. Browns look like they did re-sign a 6-year, $354 million contract. At the same time, very unfortunate news, they also re-signed Tank Bigsby. So at least they're keeping their own talent. That's like where all the money's going. Obviously, no money to spend on free agents this offseason. They just desperately need a banger draft class. Just give me some good news here. He's just so mid. Like, if you're drafted number 7, you've got to hit on someone over 73 rated. Like, yeah, even if they're going left in, dude, they passed up on a 76 rated. LGM, L front office. I mean, we're in a new decade, dude. Surely this team's got a Super Bowl push in them, especially considering Hughes technically now 116 overall. At least 12 wins here to make up for last year's stinker. Hey, don't call me the Madden scientist for nothing. About time we got back to our winning ways and winning the division. Just outside of having a top 10 offense, defensively, we still suck. I mean, that might be the best season Shador's ever had. Hank still sucks, but they didn't pay him. Why did Hugh get 11 carries this year? That's weird. What in the world? Why did Jerry Jeudy and Jatavion Sanders get more targets than him? What in the world? He was like basically fourth in the team in targets. This is an outrage. Like, if he keeps putting up these numbers, dude, there is no way he can win today's challenge. And we need him to badly. Hopefully, he can at least get a Super Bowl out of this year and make up for this nonsense. Come on, dude. Please don't let me down. Gosh dang it, dude. This team just can't make it out of the division. Really couldn't muster up any offense whatsoever. Freaking average, dude. I just don't get why they're not giving you like 50 targets a game. This is crazy. I'm just sending straight to next season, dude. I'm angry. It's made it to 2031. How's the squad looking? Wait, when did we get Bijan? But completely disregard that fact. We have even bigger news. What on planet Earth happened here? Never in these 99 rookie career mode videos have I ever had a player with 99 ratings across the board lose his freaking X Factor. That is not good. That's insane to lose your X Factor after having your first season of your career below 1,300 yards. He still had double-digit touchdowns. Dumb game. So the Bijan edition was canceled out by him losing his X Factor. But what cancels out the stats of losing his X Factor is the fact that apparently we added 2 superstar offensive linemen as well. So they could have been here the prior year. I don't know. But this offense looks good. They should have zero problem whatsoever making it back to the playoffs this year. He better have a better season. No way they went 12-5 and missed the playoffs. I'm assuming that's a first-round bye. That's got to be the team's biggest accomplishment of Hugh's career. I mean, the offense had a masterclass. Yes, number 1 in the entire National Football League. Now, coming in defensively, we're about top 10. So by far the best team performance we've seen. Shador with a career season of 4,900 yards, 48 touchdowns, only 7 picks. This might have won him his first ever MVP. Now, that's the first time we've seen a Browns running back get 1,000 yards since Nick Chubb. Through the air, Hugh comes in with 1,754 receiving yards and 27 receiving touchdowns. That makes his career best in receiving yards, and that's the first time he ever cracked 20 touchdowns. He had freaking 27. He almost had 30. Now, surely that led the NFL, right? My God, dude, Puka is a freaking reception merchant. Had 60 less yards and the same amount of touchdowns, but he caught the ball 40 more times. Oh. Target merchant. Man, look, this. Gets robbed for MVP once again. At least Hugh Janus got Offensive Player of the Year. Now, some good news. Hugh broke the all-time receiving yard record in Brown history. He's just going to be outdated in Joku now.